Happy New Year. It's just the cat letting me know that it doesn't have any food in its bowl. Um, so this year, one of the things I want to focus on is my relationship with, I guess, sugar would be the bare bones of it. But in a mindset way, it's around treats. So I have a very big sweet tooth, which is not good for a diabetic. And I put my hand up and say I'm not a very good diabetic. Um, and as my mother always points out, it is the one illness I have that I have most control over, and I don't bother doing what I need to do to own that. There was times in my life when I did, but yes, since getting chronic fatigue, I've got to say sweet treats, lots of carbs and stuff have been comfort. I am a comfort eater. So this year I want to really look at what I consider to be a treat. And so I've been playing around in my mind the idea of treats becoming savory. So for me, mindset stuff really changes when I start to picture things differently and play around. And it's really just sitting and thinking and imagining. I loved in Asia, I used to always eat the tempeh over there, and I knew that they put honey in it, but because it wasn't, or sugar in it, but because it wasn't being cooked by me, I couldn't say for definite. I could tell my brain I didn't know. And I've tried to recreate it here, obviously without the sweetness, and it's just not the same. So today I was like, yeah, I'm going to put the honey in, and that's going to be considered, although it's my dinner, it's going to be considered this is a treat. This is giving yourself something that you want, and it's still better than, a plain bar of chocolate or something like that. Than feeling like a treat and being a better treat. Like I love jellies, which let's face it, there's nothing good in jellies. I don't even know if there's anything bar sugar in jellies. And I've been thinking for a few years, oh, I should start making my own jellies. And then the recipe I always come up with is a very healthy, ginger and turmeric with no sweetness. And I'm like, oh, but actually, do you know what? I'm going to start making my own jellies, and there's going to be a bit of sweetness in there. But there's going to be some really healthy stuff as well. And it's just about giving myself that balance, and again, being able to see it as a treat, but a slightly better treat. As I say, my face is aging, as is my boobs. I mean, the rest of me is, but I don't particularly care about the rest of me. I've always loved my boobs, and I've enjoyed parts of my face throughout the years. So I want to consciously engage with supporting them as they as they get older, and feel like I did something rather than just sit and go, oh, I miss my, clean jawline or whatever. Micro change is the win. It is the smallest action I can take on a regular basis that's going to bring me to that change I want implemented. And I've always been one that's like, come up with a great goal and then plan out the drastic change and don't stick to it, or don't even bother starting it because it's too much. And so I've learned over the years that micro change is the win for me. So I want to do more around movement and getting some more muscle strength in my body. So every day for the last couple of weeks, I've been doing just 5 push-ups. Sometimes I go as far as 10 or whatever, or I do 2 rounds of it in the day. But what I ask of myself on a daily basis is the micro amount, and for me, I've picked 5. For me, it's about getting into the daily habit of it. Stuff I'd like to get into daily practice. So the yoga, gentle yoga, meditation every day, even again. So for yoga, I asked myself to do 2 sun salutations a day, and I've been able to nail that before, so I'm going to bring that back into play. And as I say, many days I'll do a whole 15-minute yoga set or whatever. But it's the thing is, I don't have to, and I've not failed if I've not, as long as I've done those 2 sun salutations. And what it does for me is it gets my body up. I often quite live in a paralysis state, and so there's a lot of trying to smash through fear and PTSD stuff in my head. So again, asking for those 2, it takes a minute or 2, and often it will just break that mental block I have, and next thing I know, 10 minutes has passed and I've done some other stretches. I used to meditate. I've been meditating since I was in my early 20s, and when I learned to meditate, it was silent meditation. And I incorporate meditation in a non-sit-down practice way a lot throughout my day, taking a moment to step into my body, to focus on my breathing. I do that throughout my day, but I don't have to sit in a particular position. But I do want to start doing some conscious sitting, silent meditation. And so I'm starting with 5 minutes, and seeing if that grows, or if there's particular days that I do more, that I want to do more. But again, it's about just reminding my body that exists on a daily basis and it's there for me. I've deleted the Instagram app from my phone because I don't enjoy Instagram too much, and if I didn't have a business I wouldn't use it. So I'm trying to change my relationship with it. It became a habit that I just spend time on it on my phone doing nothing. So instead I've replaced it with Italian lesson apps, which so far is working out really well. I don't miss it. So there'll be a change in like my stories and stuff, because I'm going to re-record stuff and put it up when it's scheduled. But I find that that's really helping just to open up my world to me and how I want my days to exist. It's amazing that an app can have so much kind of pull power, and yeah, it just didn't really ever do anything too great for me, apart from making me feel hopeful that people were finding my business. And this year I'm going to focus on other ways for people to find my business and other ways of connecting and creating more community. The change I'm making, and I'm really chuffed with it, is moving away from listening to crime documentaries while I fall asleep. So I've done this probably for about a decade now. It started at kind of a difficult patch of depression, anxiety. I found it really scary to go to bed, and so I put on YouTube videos. I'll fall asleep to the flickering of the light and the sound. And at first it was just TV programs I'd watched before, and then it became the crime documentaries. And like, if you've ever listened to one, like, the presenters are normally quite soothing voices, even though the topic's quite negative or traumatic. And there's a few different reasons of my understanding of why we choose these things. As I say, there is the presenters that are quite soothing, but if you've grown up in a traumatic or unsafe environment, you actually become quite comforted by negative and suspense, and danger, and so those things feel soothing at night time for going to sleep, which I know is crazy, but that's just part of the traumatized brain. And so I've been wanting to come off them for a good few years, and I've tried different ways, and just the anxiety that it provokes in me when I try to go to sleep without them is horrendous and completely over the top. And like, in the last kind of 6 months, I found that I really don't want to be listening to them when I go to bed. But again, I'm afraid to not listen to them in case a huge anxiety attack comes. And so this year I'm making a conscious effort, and so far, we are only early in January, I have managed to go to sleep the last few nights listening to sleep stories instead. I've tried this before and it hasn't quite worked for me. But again, I think in tandem with not being on Instagram and having that active mind, that go of information, and I've been able to get my brain to a point where a sleep story is engaging enough, whereas normally I found it too slow paced. So yeah, these are my conscious changes that I'm making. I hope they stick. I hope they stick because I do believe they're going to be really positive changes in my life. They're just small and they're just regular changes, but who I get to be at the end of the year, I believe, if I keep on this path of implementing them, is pretty exciting. Way more connected to my life rather than that outside stimuli. I think it's going to show some great holes in my life that I need to fill with things that matter to me rather than the distractions. So that's going to be an interesting journey, no doubt an uncomfortable one at times, but And so that's kind of what I'm implementing in 2024 is micro habits. And on a good day, I might do more than I've asked for, but I never have to, and I don't have to feel guilty for not kind of increasing that. For me, it's about getting into the daily habit of it. And that's something I do struggle committing to is the daily habit. So I think I'm going to nail that this year with the micro implementations.